What would you say if a cop walked up to your window right now and you had 10 seconds to protect yourself? One wrong sentence can turn a basic ticket into a search, a delay, or a case that follows you for years. The worst part is you usually don't lose your rights by force. You lose them with your own mouth. Before I reveal the exact words, hit subscribe right now so you can find this video again when you actually need it during a real stop. And tap like because panic makes smart people forget simple lines. You need these phrases before your heart starts racing. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn the 7 short lines that can keep a stop calm, stop you from giving consent by accident, and make it clear when an officer is going beyond a simple ticket. I'm also going to show you when to stay quiet, when to ask if you're free to go, and what to say if they start pushing toward a search anyway. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. Drivers talk too much, move too fast, and agree to things they never meant to agree to. Most people have no idea how fast a normal stop can turn into a fishing trip. If you remember these lines, you give yourself a real shot at leaving with just a warning, a ticket, or nothing at all. Now let's talk about why this matters so much for you. A traffic stop feels casual, but it isn't casual for the officer, and it shouldn't be casual for you. Your window is down, your documents are in your hand, your car is full of stuff, and every word you say gives the officer a clue, a reason to ask more, or a reason to stay longer. Here's the reality. Most drivers think being extra friendly will save them, so they start explaining, joking, apologizing, and volunteering details nobody asked for. That's where the damage starts. You say you're coming from a bar. You say your cousin borrowed the car. You say, sure, go ahead and look. Now the stop is no longer just about your taillight or your speed. Now it's about your story. Your job is not to win a debate on the roadside. Your job is to stay safe, stay polite, and stop helping the investigation. The first 2 phrases happen in the first 10 seconds, and they set the tone for everything that comes next. When the officer gets to your window, here's exactly what you say. Officer, why did you stop me? Word for word. Then, before you move your hands anywhere, you say this. Officer, I'm reaching for my wallet now. Those exact words. Let me show you exactly why these 2 lines matter so much for you. The first line makes the officer state the reason for the stop. That matters because the stop is supposed to stay tied to that reason. If it's speeding, it's about speeding. If it's a broken light, it's about that light. That idea comes from the same rule the Supreme Court talked about in Rodriguez v. United States. In plain English, police can handle the traffic job, but they can't stretch the stop longer just to go on a random hunt without extra reason. So when you ask why you were stopped, you politely pin the stop to its real purpose. The second line protects you in a different way. Officers watch your hands first. They don't know you. They don't know what's in your car. If you suddenly dig near your seat or glove box, you can scare them fast. Saying, officer, I'm reaching for my wallet now, makes your movement calm and clear. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it lowers tension right away. And yes, when you're driving, you usually do need to hand over your license, registration, and insurance. So don't fight that basic step. Do it in a slow, clean way. Bad way. Most drivers say, I didn't do anything. Hold on. Let me grab my stuff. Then they dive toward the console. Then the officer gets nervous, barks orders, and the stop gets hot for no reason. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, why did you stop me? And, Officer, I'm reaching for my wallet now. Then the officer answers the reason, watches your hands, and the whole stop starts on calmer ground. There's another reason this helps you. If the officer gives a vague answer like, routine check, or starts jumping into unrelated questions right away, you'll notice it early. That doesn't mean you argue. It means you stay locked in. You keep your words short. You hand over what the law requires, and you stop your own mouth from making the stop bigger than it needs to be. Pennsylvania v. Mims is also important here. In simple English, the court said an officer can order a driver out of the car during a lawful stop. So don't act shocked if that happens. Your power is not in acting tough. Your power is in being calm, clear, and hard to manipulate. Have you ever had an officer ask you to reach into your glove box or center console during a stop? Drop a comment below and tell me how that went for you. Now we get to the 2 phrases that save people from their own talking. Here's exactly what you say when the questions move away from the ticket and toward your personal business. I choose to remain silent. Then you follow it with this line. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Memorize both. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it is clean, simple, and hard to twist later. This is 100% legal. You are not required to sit there and build the case against yourself. In Berkemer v. McCarty, the Supreme Court said officers can ask a moderate number of questions during a stop, but the driver is not obliged to answer. In plain English, they can ask. You do not have to help. That means when the officer says, "Where are you coming from?" Or have you had anything to drink? Or whose bag is that? You do not need to start explaining your whole day. Here's the reality. Most people think a half answer sounds innocent. It doesn't. It sounds like a trail. One answer becomes 5 more questions. 5 more questions become consent, and consent becomes a search you handed them yourself. Schneckloth vs. Bustamante is the big case here. In plain English, the court said a consent search can be valid if your yes was voluntary. That means if you casually say, sure, go ahead, you may have just erased one of your best protections. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection. If you don't give consent, they need some other real legal reason to search. You are not stopping every search forever, but you are stopping the easy one. Bad way. Most drivers say, I only had 1 beer, or there's nothing in here, check if you want. Then the officer keeps digging, keeps listening, and your own words become the reason things get worse. Good way. Smart drivers say, I choose to remain silent, and officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer loses your free confession and your free permission at the same time. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. A polite no is stronger than a nervous maybe. If you say, I guess that's fine, or I mean, if you have to, that can sound like consent. Don't say, maybe. Don't say, probably. Don't say, I've got nothing to hide. Say the line. Say it calmly. Then stop talking. Watch what happens when a driver stays polite but stops feeding the stop. The whole mood changes. The officer either goes back to the traffic issue, or they have to show their next move without your help. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. And if they search anyway, your clear refusal can matter later when a lawyer attacks that search in court. The next 2 phrases are about ending the stop or protecting yourself if it turns serious. First, after the ticket business is done, or if the officer keeps hanging around with random questions, you ask this: Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Those exact words. Then, if the stop turns into custody, handcuffs, or serious questioning, you say this: I want a lawyer. Keep it that short. Let me show you exactly why that first question matters. In Ohio v. Robinette, the Supreme Court said, officers do not have to tell you that you're free to go before asking more questions. That means a lot of drivers keep standing there thinking they have no choice, when the stop may already be over. Your question forces the moment to become clear. If the officer says you're free to go, then go. Don't stay and chat. Don't try to be extra nice. Leave. If the officer says you are being detained, now you know the stop is still active. That tells you not to guess, not to babble, and not to treat this like a casual conversation. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to ask whether you are free to leave. You are not being rude. You are asking for the status of your detention. And the lawyer line matters if things go from roadside talk to real custody. Berkmer also explains that a routine stop is different from full custody. But once it becomes custody in a real way, your request for a lawyer becomes critical. Keep it clean. I want a lawyer. Not, maybe I should talk to one. Not, do you think I need one? Say the actual words. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess I'll just answer a few more questions. Or, no, I don't need a lawyer. I can explain. Then the stop keeps growing and their own story traps them. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? And if it turns serious, they say, I want a lawyer. Then the officer has to either let them go, keep the detention clear, or stop getting free statements. Listen closely because this is critical. The lawyer line is not for drama, it is for protection. Once you say it, shut up. Don't ask if your friend can come. Don't explain where you were. Don't try to talk your way out. Your mouth is not your rescue plan at that point. Your silence is. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, you're serious about protecting yourself. Drop a comment saying, I'm still here, because the last phrase is the one people forget when pressure gets real. Now for the 7th phrase, and this one can save your safety and your case at the same time. If an officer gives a direct order you plan to challenge later, you say this: Officer, I will not resist, but I do not consent to this search. You can also shorten it to, I will comply, but I do not consent. Word for word. This line is not your first move. Your first move is still refusal. You already said you do not consent. This line is for the moment after the officer keeps going anyway, or gives a command. You should not physically fight on the roadside. For example, if the officer orders you out of the car, you get out. Pennsylvania versus Mims says they can do that during a lawful stop. You do not win by resisting that order. You win by obeying safely while making your non-consent clear. Watch what happens when you use this the right way. You lower the chance of force because you are not pulling away, yelling, or making the officer chase your hands. But you also make it clear on camera that this was not a friendly yes. That matters later. Arizona vs. Gant and Knowles vs. Iowa both show that vehicle searches have limits. In plain English, police do not get a free full search of your car just because there was a traffic stop or even every time there is an arrest. The reason and the timing matter. So your clean statement can help show the search was not based on your permission. Bad way. Most drivers say, fine, do whatever you want. Then they stand there mad, talking, and sometimes physically interfere. Then things escalate fast and the video looks bad for them. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, I will not resist, but I do not consent to this search. Then they step back, stay visible, and let the record show they never gave permission. That phrase also protects your brain in the moment. When fear hits, you need a simple script, not a speech, not a lecture about the Constitution. One line, calm voice, hands visible, no sudden moves. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it separates disagreement from resistance. And that is a huge difference for your safety. Put all of this together and you can see the legal map underneath your words. Rodriguez v. United States says, a stop cannot be stretched longer than needed for the traffic job without extra legal reason. That's why asking why you were stopped and whether you are free to leave matters. Schneckloth v. Bustamante says consent can make a search legal even when there was no warrant. That's why your refusal matters so much. Pennsylvania v. Mims says police can order you out of the car during a lawful stop. That's why you comply with safe orders instead of resisting on the roadside. If you also remember Berkemer, you get one more key point. Officers can ask questions, but you are not obliged to answer them. That is why silence is not suspicious by itself. It is protection. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, but the simple version is easy. Keep the stop tied to the reason. Don't give free permission. Don't give free statements. Don't turn roadside pressure into roadside resistance. Now let's run a real stop so you can hear what this sounds like in your own mouth. You're driving home at night. Lights flash behind you. You pull over, turn down your music, crack the window, and keep your hands where they can be seen. The officer walks up and asks for your license. The wrong way starts fast. You say, was I speeding? I'm sorry. I'm coming from my friend's house. I only had one drink, but I'm fine. Then you start digging around under your seat without warning. The officer stiffens up. Now the officer asks where your friend lives, why you're nervous, and whether there's anything illegal in the car. You say, no, you can check. Now your whole night is upside down. The right way is boring, and boring is exactly what you want. The officer walks up. You say, officer, why did you stop me? The officer says your tag light is out. You answer, officer, I'm reaching for my wallet now. You hand over the basic documents. Then the officer asks where you're coming from and whether you had anything to drink. You say, I choose to remain silent. If they ask to look in the car, you say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. If they finish the warning and keep asking questions, you say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? If they say you're free to go, you leave. If they suddenly escalate, put you in cuffs, or start serious questioning, you say, I want a lawyer. And if they search anyway, you say, officer, I will not resist, but I do not consent to this search. See the difference for your outcome? In the wrong version, you supplied suspicion, movement, and consent. In the right version, you gave only what the law requires and nothing extra. That's the whole game. Your power is not in sounding smart. Your power is in sounding clear. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that one gets drivers searched every single day. So lock these lines into your head right now. Ask why you were stopped so the stop stays tied to the real reason. Announce your movements so your hands never become the problem. Use silence and refuse consent so you stop giving away your rights for free. Ask if you are free to leave so you know when the stop should end. And if it turns serious, ask for a lawyer and stop talking. These are short phrases, but they carry real weight when your pulse is high and the lights are flashing behind you. Hit subscribe so you catch that next video on smell-based searches. Smash the like button if this script just saved you from a future mistake. And drop a comment telling me which of these 7 phrases you're going to memorize first. Stay safe out there.